My boyfriend was the perfect partner until I found a burner phone hidden in his car. The messages were endless. Different women. Different cities. He was living a double life. Instead of breaking up immediately, I set a trap. I booked a spa weekend, told him I'd be away, then followed him. When he walked into a restaurant with another woman, I sat down at their table and said, "Mind if I join?" But the real shock came when the woman said, "Wait. You're his sister, right?" I don't even know where to start. My hands are shaking as I type this. Ryan and I had been together for 3 years. We lived together, shared everything, talked about marriage, even looked at houses once or twice. He was the kind of guy people envied, handsome, charming, good job, took care of me in every way. My friends used to say I hit the jackpot with him. I thought so too. I was so wrong. I found out by accident. I wish I could say I had some gut feeling, some sixth sense that something was off. But no, I found out because I dropped my car keys between the seat and the center console of his car. I had borrowed his car that day because mine was in the shop. I reached down, fingers searching blindly, and I felt something smooth and rectangular. At first, I thought it was just an old charger or maybe his wallet. But when I pulled it out, my stomach dropped. A phone. Not his usual iPhone. Not the one he used every day. This was an old, cheap burner phone. My hands were sweating as I powered it on. There were hundreds of messages. Different names. Different numbers. Different cities. Miss you, baby. Can't wait to see you next weekend. Last night was amazing. I still feel you all over me. When are you coming back to Houston? I hate sleeping alone. My boyfriend, my perfect boyfriend, was living a double life. I don't know how long I sat there, just staring at the screen. I wanted to cry. Scream. Throw the phone out the window and pretend I never saw it. But I needed proof. I started taking screenshots with my phone. Page after page of texts, names, dates. I scrolled through the call logs, dozens of outgoing calls to numbers I didn't recognize. Women. Probably so many women. Then I checked the photos. And that's when I almost threw up. Pictures of him in hotel rooms. Selfies with different women. Some innocent, just him and some girl, smiling. Others, not so innocent. There was one of him lying in bed, shirtless, with a blonde woman curled up next to him, fast asleep. The timestamp? 2 weeks ago. He had told me he was at a conference. I turned off the phone and sat there, my mind racing. I could have confronted him right away. I could have screamed, thrown the phone at his face, demanded answers. But I didn't. Because I knew if he was this good at hiding it, he would lie. I needed to catch him. That night, I acted completely normal. When he came home, I kissed him like nothing was wrong. I let him hold me, let him tell me he loved me, let him curl up next to me in bed. I barely slept. The next morning, I told him I was going away for a spa weekend with my best friend. A little self-care, some girl time. I watched his reaction closely. He didn't even hesitate. That sounds amazing, babe. You deserve it. He kissed my forehead, ran his fingers through my hair. No guilt. No hesitation. He was so good at this. I packed a small bag and even drove halfway to the spa before turning around. I parked down the street from our apartment, waiting. Watching. Less than an hour later, he left the apartment. Dressed up. Clean-shaven. Fresh cologne. Not exactly how you dress when you're planning to stay home all weekend. I started following him. I took a deep breath and followed her inside. I didn't even have to look around. I could hear his voice. I turned the corner, and there he was. Sitting at a small table near the window, leaning in close, smiling. He reached across the table, brushing her hand with his. I walked up, my heart pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. I pulled out the chair next to him, sat down, and smiled. Mind if I join? Ryan's entire body jerked like he had been electrocuted. His mouth fell open, eyes wide. The woman looked at me, confused. Then she smiled. Oh my God. You must be his sister. Ryan talks about you all the time. I don't even remember how I reacted. I think I just stared at her, frozen, while everything in my brain short-circuited. His sister? His fucking sister? Ryan was already scrambling. His eyes were darting between me and the woman, his face pale, his hands shaking. I pulled out my phone, unlocked it, and placed it on the table. I scrolled through the screenshots. The messages. The photos. Then I slid it over to her. Take your pick, I said. She picked up the phone. Scrolled. And then, she threw it at Ryan's chest. You're disgusting, she hissed. Ryan looked like he wanted to die. Me? I just sat back and watched. Because this? This was just the beginning. Ryan just sat there, frozen, his face as pale as a ghost. His mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. He had no idea what to say. The woman, Sarah, I would later learn, looked like she was about to be sick. She kept shaking her head, scrolling through the messages, her face twisting in horror. This can't be real, she whispered. I thought you. She trailed off, staring at him like he was some kind of mutant. Ryan tried to reach for her hand again. She flinched. Please, just let me explain, he said, his voice cracking. This is all a big misunderstanding, I lost it. A misunderstanding? I repeated, laughing bitterly. Ryan, I found your burner phone. I have the texts. The photos. The hotel receipts. How many women, huh? How many Sarahs? His jaw clenched. I could see his brain working, trying to spin this into something he could get out of. You don't understand, he muttered. It's not what it looks like, really? I shot back. Because it looks like you've been screwing half the country. Sarah's breathing was getting heavier, her fingers gripping the table like she needed to steady herself. Oh my God, she mumbled. Oh my God, I was with him last weekend. Her hand flew up to her mouth. That hit me like a truck. Last weekend. While I was home, probably making dinner for us. While I was texting him goodnight, I love you. While I was waiting for him to call. My vision blurred. Sarah turned to me, her eyes wet. I swear to God, I had no idea he was in a relationship. He told me I was the only one. Yeah, well, join the club, I said, my voice hollow. Ryan stood up suddenly, his chair scraping against the floor. His whole body was tense, like a cornered animal. All right, fine, he snapped. I messed up. I made mistakes. But let's not turn this into some big mistakes. I slammed my hand on the table so hard that a few people turned to look. Ryan flinched. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is leaving the toilet seat up. You built an entire second life. My voice was shaking. I was shaking. Sarah pushed back from the table. She looked sick, her arms wrapped around herself like she was trying to keep from falling apart. I have to go, she whispered. No, I said suddenly, my heart pounding. You should stay. You deserve to know everything. I do too. Sarah hesitated, then slowly nodded. Ryan turned red. What the hell does that mean? It means we're comparing notes. I crossed my arms. You think you're walking out of here without telling us how deep this goes? Ryan laughed, but there was no humor in it. Are you serious right now? He rubbed his face, looking between us. You're gonna sit here and, what? Swap stories? Talk about me like I'm not even here? Yep, I said, popping the P for emphasis. That's exactly what's happening. Ryan took a step back. I could see it in his eyes. Panic. He turned to Sarah. You don't want to do this, he pleaded. Come on, baby, you know how good we are together. Sarah laughed. A harsh, broken sound. Are you joking right now? She picked up my phone again, scrolled, and then suddenly stopped. Her face drained of color. Wait. Wait. She looked at Ryan, then back at the phone. Who the hell is Jessica? I frowned. Jessica? Jessica, Sarah repeated. She turned the phone toward me, pointing at a message thread. A new name. A new city. Another woman. My stomach turned. No, I whispered. No way. Sarah scrolled faster, her fingers shaking. Holy shit, she mumbled. There's more. Oh my God, there's so many. Ryan's whole body stiffened. Sarah, don't, she stood up so fast, her chair tipped over. How many, Ryan? Her voice was sharp, rising with each word. Tell us right now, how many? Ryan's jaw clenched. He didn't speak. Sarah let out a sharp, humorless laugh. That's what I thought. I grabbed my phone back, scrolling furiously. I opened the call logs. Texts. Hotel receipts. I had only skimmed before, but now, I was digging. And the more I looked, the worse it got. Jessica. Natalie. Erin. Sophia. Too many names. I felt like I was drowning. You're a monster, I whispered. Ryan exhaled sharply, gripping the back of his neck. I never meant for it to get this bad. I looked up at him, my blood boiling. Get bad? This wasn't some accident, Ryan. This wasn't some oopsie-daisy. I tripped and fell into another woman. You had a system. You had a burner phone. This is who you are. His nostrils flared. His hands balled into fists. You need to calm the hell down, he growled. That set me off. Calm down? I nearly lunged across the table. You don't get to tell me to calm down. You don't get to control this anymore. Sarah was trembling beside me. You're disgusting, she spat. I was going to introduce you to my family. Ryan exhaled, then shook his head. You're blowing this way out of proportion. Out of proportion? Sarah repeated, her voice deadly quiet. She reached into her purse and pulled out a set of keys. Then she threw them at his chest. That's to my apartment, she said, her voice shaking. Get your shit out. Today. Ryan looked like she had slapped him. Sarah, I don't want to hear it. She turned to me, her eyes filled with something dark. We're not done here, she said. I nodded. No, we weren't. Because now? I wasn't just going to walk away. I was going to burn his whole life down. I need to go, she muttered. She turned to leave, but I wasn't done. Wait, I said, my voice sharper than I expected. Something wasn't sitting right with me. Sarah stopped, looking at me in confusion. Ryan, I said, my gaze locked onto him. You've got a whole system, don't you? Different women, different cities. You're careful. You planned this shit. But tell me this, why the hell did you bring her here? To a restaurant we'd been to before? In the same city where we live? Sarah's brows furrowed. Ryan shifted uncomfortably. It's not what you think, he muttered. I crossed my arms. Then what is it? Sarah slowly turned back toward him, realization dawning in her eyes. Ryan, she said, her voice eerily calm, how many other women are there, here? In Chicago? Ryan's face twisted for a split second, panic, then anger. None, he lied. So badly. Sarah and I exchanged a look. I pulled out my phone again, scrolling through the texts. And then I found it. A message from just 3 days ago. Same time as last week? Miss you already. A Chicago number. Another woman. I turned the screen toward Sarah. Look at the area code. She paled. You're kidding, she whispered. Ryan took a step toward me. Stop digging through my phone, why? Because I might find out just how deep this goes? I hissed. He reached for the phone. I yanked it back. Sarah turned to him, eyes blazing. You were seeing someone else. At the same time you were seeing both of us. Ryan let out a short laugh, but there was nothing funny about it. It was the kind of laugh a man makes when he knows he's trapped. Fine, he snapped. You want the truth? Yeah. I was seeing someone else. And guess what? You were both never supposed to find out. I almost smacked him. Sarah took a step back, her lips parted, like she was physically restraining herself from slapping him across the face. You're sick, she whispered. I turned back to my phone. I needed to find out who this woman was. And then, my stomach dropped. Because I knew that number. I knew her. Sarah watched my face carefully. What? What is it? I swallowed, suddenly feeling dizzy. I know her, I whispered. The other woman. She's someone I know. Ryan's face twitched. Sarah's eyes widened. Who? I took a shaky breath and said the name out loud. Lily. Sarah didn't react. She didn't know who that was. But Ryan's reaction? He flinched. Sarah caught it too. Who the hell is Lily? She asked sharply. I stared at Ryan, my mind spinning. Lily was my coworker. A friend. Someone I had invited over for drinks. Someone who had sat on my couch, laughed with me, talked about relationships. And she was sleeping with my boyfriend. You absolute piece of shit, I whispered. Ryan rubbed his face. It wasn't like that, I snapped. Don't you dare try to make this sound like anything other than what it is. Sarah ran a hand through her hair, looking sick. So, let me get this straight. You weren't just screwing random women. You were screwing people she knows? Ryan didn't answer. I turned away from him and scrolled to Lily's contact. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. Sarah's eyes widened. Are you calling her? Hell yes, I am, I muttered. Ryan's eyes went wide. No. Don't drag her into this. Oh, now you care about someone's feelings? I shot back. I hit the call button. Sarah and I both watched Ryan as the phone rang. His fists clenched, his jaw tightened. Oh, nothing, I said smoothly. I just wanted to ask, how long have you been sleeping with my boyfriend? Silence. Then, the call disconnected. Sarah and I just sat there, stunned. Ryan lost it. You're insane, he snapped. What the hell is wrong with you? You have no idea what you're doing right now. I stood up so fast my chair nearly toppled over. Oh, I know exactly what I'm doing, I shot back. I'm making sure you never get away with this again. Sarah stood too. We were done listening to him. Ryan ran a hand through his hair, his breathing heavy. You're ruining my life, he muttered. I laughed. Actually laughed. No, Ryan, I said coldly. You ruined your own life. We're just watching it fall apart. Sarah looked at me, her eyes still filled with shock, but also something else. Determination. We're not done yet, she muttered. And she was right. Because this? This was just the beginning. Sarah and I stood side by side, our anger crackling in the air like a live wire. Ryan sat back down, rubbing his temples like he was the victim. His whole body was tense, his jaw locked, his knee bouncing under the table. You have no idea what you've just done, he muttered. Oh, you mean calling one of your many girlfriends? I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. I think I had a pretty good idea. Sarah scoffed. What, are you scared? That the little house of lies you built is finally crashing down? Ryan slammed his hand on the table. People at nearby tables turned to look. You have no idea what's going on, he snapped. You think this is some big betrayal, but you don't even understand the truth. That made me pause. Sarah crossed her arms. Okay. Enlighten us, Ryan. What's the truth? Ryan exhaled sharply, gripping the back of his neck. He looked around the restaurant like he was making sure no one was eavesdropping. Then, he said something that knocked the air out of my lungs. Lily wasn't just sleeping with me, he muttered. She was sleeping with someone else, too. I blinked. What? Ryan let out a bitter laugh. Yeah. You heard me. Your sweet little friend Lily? She's been screwing around behind your back just like I was. My stomach twisted. You're lying. Am I? Ryan's eyes burned into mine. Think about it. How did she find out you were dating me? Did you tell her? Or did she tell you? I didn't answer. My mind was spinning too fast. Sarah looked between us. Wait, what the hell are you saying? That she's seeing me too? Silence. Sarah's lips parted. What did you just say? Ryan shrugged, leaning back in his chair. Lily is engaged. Has been for over a year. But she's been screwing around on him too. I guess she and I aren't that different after all. I felt like I had been slapped. Sarah stared at me, then at Ryan. That's not true, she whispered. Go ahead, call her back, Ryan said. Ask her yourself. I couldn't breathe. Lily was engaged? The girl who had laughed in my kitchen, complimented my relationship, given me advice, she had a fiancé? Sarah grabbed my phone, her hands shaking as she scrolled through my call log. She hit dial. It rang once. Twice. Then straight to voicemail. Sarah slammed my phone down on the table. She's dodging us. Ryan smirked. Shocking. I dug my nails into my palm. I wanted to scream. This wasn't just Ryan's betrayal anymore. This was Lily's too. And suddenly, I realized something. Wait, I said slowly, my heart hammering. If Lily was engaged, that means her fiancé doesn't know either. Sarah's head snapped toward me. And in that moment, we both knew what had to happen next. Sarah didn't hesitate. She pulled out her phone, typed something, and hit send. Ryan narrowed his eyes. What did you just do? Sarah smiled. I just messaged Lily's fiancé. And I told him everything. Ryan went white. You stupid, he practically growled. Do you even know what you've done? Yeah, Sarah said, voice calm. We leveled the playing field. You want to talk about secrets? Let's see how she likes it when her own life blows up. Ryan shot up from his chair so fast that it almost toppled over. You don't get it, he hissed. Oh, I get it, I snapped. You thought you could keep your little side relationships nice and neat. But you picked the wrong people to screw over, Ryan. He was panicking. I could see it in the way his hands clenched into fists, the way his breathing quickened. And then, his phone rang. We all looked at it. Lily. Ryan hesitated. Then he grabbed the phone and answered. What? He snapped. We couldn't hear her, but whatever she was saying was frantic. Ryan ran a hand through his hair, his face contorting. No. No, listen, Sarah's the one who, no, I didn't say, Lily, calm the fuck down. Sarah and I looked at each other. She hit send on another message. Just sent her fiancé the screenshots, she murmured. Ryan's face broke. He slammed the phone down. I fucking hate you both, he yelled. The entire restaurant went silent. People turned in their seats, waiters paused mid-step. Sarah raised an eyebrow. Oh, I bet you do. I crossed my arms. So, what happens now, Ryan? He was seething. Now? His lip curled. Now, I hope you're both happy. Because you just ruined lives tonight. Sarah tilted her head. No, Ryan. You did that. We just stopped letting you get away with it. Ryan let out a sharp exhale, shaking his head. Then, without another word, he stormed out of the restaurant. And just like that, it was over. Sarah and I sat in silence for a long time. The weight of everything hung in the air between us. Finally, she let out a long breath. I feel, weirdly okay, she admitted. I nodded. Same. We didn't cry. We didn't break down. We just sat there. Maybe it was the shock. Maybe it was the exhaustion. Or maybe, just maybe, it was the relief. The truth was out. Ryan was gone. Lily was exposed. And we? We were free. Sarah picked up her drink and clinked it against mine. To fresh starts, she said. I smiled. To never falling for assholes like that again. And just like that, we turned the page.